The emergency klaxon wailed through the Galactic Council chambers, and Velcris knew someone had really messed up this time. In his 40 cycles serving as a Telnori diplomat, he had seen plenty of classification disputes, territorial squabbles, and the occasional accidental moon explosion, but never, and he meant never, had he seen the entire Planetary Assessment Committee, that is, all 12 species represented, looking quite this shade of horrified green. Well, except for the Corinthians, they were always green. Right now, though, they had gone a particularly bilious shade that suggested either extreme nausea or existential dread. Velcris was betting on both. Order! Order! High Assessor Quilmara slammed 3 of her appendages on the podium, which did absolutely nothing to quiet the chaos erupting across the chamber. This session will come to order, or I swear by the 7 suns I will depressurize this entire section. That got everyone's attention. Mostly because Quilmara had actually done it before during the Great Taxation debate of Cycle 4500-222. Nobody wanted a repeat of that mess. Velcris settled his gelatinous form more comfortably in his support cradle, and adjusted his translation implant. Whatever had everyone in such a panic, it was bound to be entertaining. The last time he had seen this much disorder, the council had accidentally approved a breeding license for Zarflaxian slime worms, and those things reproduced through explosive mitosis. The cleanup took months. Esteemed members, Quilmara continued, her voice tight with what Velcris recognized as barely controlled panic. We have completed our preliminary assessment of the planet designated as Sol 3, colloquially known by its inhabitants as Earth. Oh, this was about the newcomers. Velcris perked up. The humans had been making quite the splash in galactic society, mostly by being aggressively friendly and offering everyone something they called coffee. 3 delegates were still in medical care recovering from that particular cultural exchange. The results are, and I cannot stress this enough, catastrophically concerning. Quilmara activated the holo display and numbers began scrolling across the chamber in angry red text. Surface temperature variant, -89 degrees to +56 degrees Celsius. Atmospheric composition, 21% oxygen. Tectonic activity, constant. Magnetic field fluctuations, extreme. Weather systems, violently unstable. Biodiversity danger index off the charts. A collective gasp rippled through the assembly. Velcris felt his outer membrane tighten in sympathetic horror. 21% oxygen? That was practically combustible. And that temperature variance, by all the stars, that was not a habitable range. That was a torture spectrum. Surely there is an error, someone called from the back. No sentient species could evolve in such conditions. That is exactly the problem. Quilmara's voice dropped to what could only be described as a terrified whisper. They did, and they thrive there. The holo display shifted, showing a blue and green marble of a planet, swirling with white atmospheric storms that looked suspiciously like the kind of weather phenomena usually classified as natural disasters. Velcris watched as the image zoomed in, showing vast population centers built directly in zones that should, by all reasonable standards, be completely uninhabitable. After careful consideration and unanimous vote from the assessment committee, Quilmara announced, her voice shaking slightly, "We are officially classifying Earth as a Class 12 Deathworld." The chamber exploded into pandemonium. A Class 12, that was the highest possible rating. That was the kind of classification reserved for planets with acid rain, carnivorous atmospheres, and gravitational anomalies. Velcris felt something he had not experienced in decades, genuine curiosity mixed with a healthy dose of academic horror. Before his better judgment could stop him, Velcris activated his communication node. "High Assessor, I volunteer to lead the official diplomatic assessment mission to Earth." Every sensory organ in the chamber turned toward him. Quilmara's expression cycled through surprise, confusion, and what might have been pity. "Velcris, you understand what you are proposing?" "I understand completely," Velcris replied with significantly more confidence than he actually felt. "Besides, how dangerous can it really be?" The humans seemed perfectly pleasant. The High Assessor sighed, a sound that suggested she had just watched someone volunteer to jump into a star. "Very well. May the cosmos have mercy on your molecular structure, Velcris. You are going to need it." The orbital station, designated as Gateway Alpha, hung in space like a gleaming monument to human engineering, which meant it was approximately 60% more complicated than it needed to be, and decorated with what humans called racing stripes. Velcris had reviewed the specifications 3 times, certain there had been a translation error regarding the number of coffee dispensers. There had not. Apparently humans required caffeinated beverages every 2.3 hours or they became, and this was a direct quote, absolutely useless and kind of mean. His shuttle docked with a gentle thunk, and Velcris oozed his way through the airlock, accompanied by his assessment team, Prella, a Zechthonian sensor specialist whose entire body was essentially one giant eyeball, and Torvik, a Grundian engineer built like a very polite boulder. They were the best in their fields, which Velcris hoped would be enough to survive whatever fresh nightmare awaited them. The airlock pressurized, the inner door hissed open, and standing on the other side was their human liaison officer, wearing what appeared to be a genuine smile and a uniform that looked uncomfortably tight around the neck region. Humans apparently strangled themselves with decorative fabric as a sign of professionalism. Welcome, welcome. The human stepped forward, hand extended. Marcus Chen, diplomatic liaison. You must be Velcris. We are so excited to have you here. Velcris carefully extruded a pseudopod to approximate a handshake, trying not to think about how much force the human was applying. The human pumped his appendage enthusiastically, and Velcris felt several of his internal structures shift uncomfortably. The pleasure is ours, Velcris managed. We are looking forward to learning more about your fascinating homeworld. Oh man, you picked the perfect time. Marcus gestured enthusiastically. We have prepared a whole presentation and the culinary team made some authentic Earth refreshments for you to try. Behind him, Velcris heard Prella's optical membrane constrict in what he recognized as extreme concern. The reports about coffee were apparently not exaggerated. They entered what Marcus called the conference lounge, and Velcris immediately identified at least 7 safety hazards, including what appeared to be an open flame under a glass container of bubbling dark liquid. The smell hit him next, a complex mixture of aromatic compounds that his olfactory sensors flagged as potentially psychoactive. Please, sit. Make yourselves comfortable. Marcus gestured to chairs clearly designed for beings with internal skeletons. Velcris managed to arrange himself on one while Prella hovered anxiously and Torvik simply stood, because Grundians did not do chairs. A human female approached, carrying a tray with small containers steaming ominously. Her identification badge read Jennifer Okonkwo, Cultural Exchange Specialist, and she was smiling with the kind of enthusiasm usually reserved for people who did not understand the danger they were in. We have prepared a selection of Earth beverages, Jennifer announced cheerfully. Coffee, of course, and we also brought some tea and hot chocolate. It is a favorite among human children. If human children consumed this, Velcris thought, then the reports about Earth being a death world were somehow still understating the problem. We also have snacks. Marcus produced a bowl filled with what looked like twisted orange fragments. Spicy chips. They are a bit hot, but nothing too crazy. Mild. Really. Torvik, who prided himself on being adventurous, picked up one of the orange fragments and placed it in his consumption orifice. For exactly 2.4 seconds nothing happened. Then Torvik made a sound Velcris had never heard a Grundian make before. A sort of gasping whistle that suggested every pain receptor in his body had activated simultaneously. Water, Torvik gasped, his rocky exterior actually beginning to steam. By the ancient stones, water. Oh no, here, Jennifer rushed over with a glass of clear liquid which Torvik grabbed and consumed in one desperate gulp. Then he made an even worse sound. That is not water. Torvik wheezed, his surface temperature climbing into the red zone. What kind of water burns? Burns? Marcus looked genuinely confused. Then his expression shifted to horrified realization. Oh, stars, I am so sorry. That was vodka. It is a recreational beverage. I forgot we left it there. Humans have multiple transparent liquids, some of which are flammable. Prella's optical membrane was now fully dilated in panic. Why would you keep them in identical containers? It is not actually flammable when it is diluted, Marcus tried to explain. Well, not very flammable. Velcris watched as Torvik continued to emit steam. Jennifer rushed around trying to find the correct transparent liquid, and Marcus attempted to explain why humans created drinks specifically designed to impair their cognitive functions for fun, and they had not even discussed visiting the actual planet yet. Stars helped them all. After Torvik's mouth had stopped smoking, quite literally smoking, Marcus led them to what he enthusiastically called the observation theater. Velcris was beginning to understand that humans added the word theater to anything they found entertaining, which apparently included planetary geography. Orate. Marcus clapped his hands together, a gesture that made Prella flinch. So, we have put together a little virtual tour of Earth's various climate zones. Think of it as a preview before the main event. Main event, Velcris repeated slowly. You mean the actual surface visit? Exactly. But first, let's get you acquainted with the different regions. Jennifer activated the holo display and suddenly they were surrounded by a three-dimensional rendering of a vast expanse of sand dunes that shimmered under what looked like twin suns. No. Wait. Velcris corrected himself. Just one sun. It simply looked like two because of the heat distortion. This is the Sahara Desert, Jennifer announced with the kind of pride usually reserved for showing off one's offspring. One of the largest hot deserts on Earth. Daytime temperatures regularly exceed 50 degrees Celsius. Velcris felt his moisture retention systems activate in sympathetic panic. 50 degrees? His species began experiencing cellular breakdown at 38 degrees. Fascinating, he managed. And humans live here? Oh yeah. We have the Bedouin people, the Tuareg, various modern cities. Here, look. That is Dubai. The image shifted to show towering structures of glass and metal rising from the sand. It is actually a major tourist destination. People go there for vacation. Vacation, Torvik repeated, his voice still hoarse. Humans voluntarily travel to a zone where the ambient temperature can melt organic tissue for recreational purposes. Well, when you put it like that, it sounds weird, Jennifer laughed. But we have air conditioning. You have developed technology specifically to make uninhabitable zones temporarily survivable, and then you choose to inhabit those zones anyway. Prella asked. I mean, yeah, pretty much, Marcus shrugged. The desert vanished, replaced by an endless expanse of white that made Prella's photoreceptors immediately contract in pain. Snow and ice stretched to every horizon, broken only by the occasional dark rock face. Antarctica, Jennifer spread her arms. Average temperature -49 degrees Celsius. During winter it can drop to -89. Velcris checked his scanner, certain it had malfunctioned. It had not. -89 degrees. That was not weather. That was a cryogenic preservation unit. We have research stations there, Marcus added casually. About 1,000 people live there year-round, doing science and stuff. You have seasons in this frozen nightmare that you classify as summer, Velcris said faintly. Oh yeah, it gets way warmer, like -20, -15 on a good day. That is still catastrophically cold, Torvik protested. Grundian stone begins to crack at -30. Layers, Jennifer said cheerfully. Lots and lots of layers. Wait, Prella interrupted. You are telling me that on a single planet you have temperature variations of over 140 degrees Celsius, and humans simply wear different clothing? Pretty much. Marcus seemed genuinely pleased. Oh, but that is not even the coolest part. Check this out. The scene shifted again and suddenly they were looking at a mountain that was actively expelling molten rock from its peak. Volcanoes. Jennifer clapped her hands. We have about 1,500 potentially active ones. This beauty is Mount Vesuvius in Italy. It famously buried the city of Pompeii in 70. You live near mountains that explode? Velcris felt his cohesion starting to destabilize. Actively? Knowingly? Naples is right there. Marcus pointed to a sprawling urban area in the shadow of the mountain. 3 million people. Great pizza, too. Pizza, Torvik said numbly. There is food near the exploding mountain. The best food. The volcanic soil is incredibly fertile. The simulation continued, showing them a parade of horrors that humans apparently called home. Tectonic plates grinding against each other, creating earthquakes that could level cities, coastal regions where massive rotating storm systems, hurricanes they were called, regularly battered the shoreline with winds exceeding 300 kilometers per hour, plains where the atmosphere itself formed into spinning columns of destruction. Tornado Alley, Marcus gestured at a region on the map. Gets about 1,000 tornadoes a year. People actually chase them for fun. They chase them, Prella's voice had gone flat. The destructive atmospheric vortexes. Humans pursue them. Voluntarily. It is pretty cool to watch. Jennifer pulled up footage of a massive funnel cloud, and yes, there was a human vehicle driving toward it. See? That is a storm chaser. The simulation shifted to show a tropical region where rain fell in sheets so thick, Velcris could barely see through them. Monsoon season in Southeast Asia. Some areas get over 11 meters of rain in a few months. 11 meters, Velcris repeated. That is not rain. That is an ocean falling from the sky. Yeah, it gets pretty wet. Oh, and speaking of oceans, Let me show you the Ring of Fire. The hollow display highlighted a horseshoe-shaped region. This is where like 75% of Earth's volcanoes and 90% of earthquakes happen. And the population in this region? Velcris asked, dreading the answer. Oh, just over half the world's population. Tokyo alone has almost 38 million people. You built the largest human city on top of active fault lines, Torvik stated. In an earthquake zone, next to the ocean. I mean, when you list it all out like that, it sounds irresponsible, Marcus admitted. But we have building codes. You need warning systems because the ground regularly tries to kill you. Prella's optical membrane had contracted to its absolute minimum size. I mean, from California, Jennifer said. Earthquakes are just a thing that happens. You feel a little shake. You check if anything fell off the shelf. You go back to what you were doing. The ground moves, and you simply continue your daily activities, Velcris said faintly. Unless it is a big one, then you get under a desk. Velcris looked at his team. Prella had gone into a defensive contraction. Torvik had developed a hairline crack along his left shoulder, and they had not even discussed the truly concerning parts yet. So, Marcus clapped his hands again. Who wants to hear about the wildlife? Velcris made a sound that his translator helpfully rendered as disturbed whimpering. Jennifer pulled up a new section of the holo display and Velcris immediately wished she had not. The image showed a large, furry quadruped with enormous claws and teeth that looked designed specifically for ripping flesh from bone. Its eyes held a kind of predatory intelligence that made Velcris's survival instincts scream in languages he did not even know he understood. Grizzly bear, Jennifer announced with disturbing enthusiasm. One of North America's apex predators. They can weigh up to 360 kilograms, run at speeds of 55 kilometers per hour, and have a bite force of over 8 million pascals. Apex predator. Prella's voice emerged as a strangled whisper. You have multiple apex predators? On one continent? Oh yeah. Each continent has several. Well, except Antarctica, but we covered that already. Marcus pulled up a new image. This one showing a sleek, spotted feline with fangs that extended well past its jaw. This is a jaguar, South America's big cat. They have the strongest bite of any big cat, can crush turtle shells and caiman skulls. You classify a creature that crushes armored prey with its mouth as cool, Torvik said. I mean, objectively, it is pretty impressive. Oh, and check out the African continent. Lions, leopards, cheetahs, hyenas, wild dogs, crocodiles. Images flashed across the display, each one more terrifying than the last. The Nile crocodile can grow up to 6 meters long and has a bite force of 22,000 newtons. Velcris ran the calculations. 22,000 newtons. That was enough force to crush most spacecraft hulls. And it was attached to a creature that lived in water, where humans also chose to swim. Recreationally, Asia has tigers, the largest cats on Earth. Marcus was really getting into this now. Snow leopards in the mountains, sun bears in the jungles, king cobras, saltwater crocodiles that can grow over 6 meters. Australia, well, Australia is special. Special how? Velcris asked, then immediately regretted it. Everything there is trying to kill you, Jennifer said with genuine delight. Box jellyfish, blue-ringed octopus, funnel-web spiders, taipan snakes, stonefish, cone snails. They have 21 of the world's 25 most venomous snakes. The ocean has sharks. The land has snakes and spiders. Even the plants are dangerous. The Gimpy plant has neurotoxic stinging hairs that can cause pain for months. Months, Prella whimpered. A plant that causes months of pain. Yeah, you do not want to use it as toilet paper, that is for sure. Marcus laughed. There was this researcher who did that accidentally and, well, it did not go well for him. Why would anyone research a plant that dangerous? Torvik demanded. Science, Jennifer said, as if that explained everything. But wait, we have not even gotten to the really interesting stuff. Microscopic life. The display zoomed in, showing magnified images of tiny organisms that looked like they had been designed by a committee of nightmares. Spirals, rods, spheres with tentacles, things with too many flagella and not enough sense. Bacteria. Viruses. Parasites, prions. Jennifer cycled through images with enthusiasm. We have flesh-eating bacteria, brain-eating amoebas, parasitic worms that can grow over 9 meters inside your intestines, viruses that can completely rewrite cellular functions, prions that are just misfolded proteins but can cause fatal degenerative diseases. And humans survive this how? Velcris managed to ask. Immune system, Marcus said proudly. We have this amazing defensive system that identifies threats and creates antibodies to fight them. White blood cells, T cells, B cells, a whole army inside our bodies constantly fighting off invaders. Your bodies are battlegrounds, Torvik said slowly. Constant warfare at the cellular level. Pretty much, yeah. It is actually fighting stuff right now, even though we are healthy. Every second of every day, our immune systems are killing potential threats. And sometimes, Marcus continued, our immune systems get confused and attack harmless things. That is allergies. My body thinks pollen is a deadly threat, so every spring I sneeze for like 3 months straight. Your defensive systems malfunction, attack beneficial environmental particles. Prella's optical membrane had reopened slightly, but only to stare in abject horror. And this is common? Super common. Peanut allergies, shellfish allergies, bee sting allergies, lactose intolerance. Some people are allergic to sunlight or water. Their own bodies treat essential elements of existence as mortal threats. How has your species not died out from sheer biological hostility? Velcris asked. Well, that is the thing. Marcus leaned forward excitedly. We adapt. Humans have been dealing with all this stuff for millions of years. We evolved alongside these threats. Our immune systems are incredibly robust because they have to be. We can survive infections that would wipe out other species. Speaking of organisms, Jennifer pulled up a new image, this one showing something that looked like a miniature alien spaceship. Tardigrades, also known as water bears. These little guys can survive temperatures from -272 degrees Celsius to 150 degrees Celsius. They can withstand radiation doses that would kill almost anything else. They can survive in the vacuum of space. And these creatures are native to Earth, Velcris said flatly. Yep. You can find them in moss and soil and water. They are everywhere. Marcus grinned. If Earth can produce something that resilient, imagine what that means for the organisms that evolved to be the dominant species on the same planet. Velcris was imagining it. He desperately did not want to be, but his cognitive processes were running the calculations against his will. Oh, Jennifer bounced excitedly. We have not even talked about the pets. Pets? Torvik asked warily. Animals we keep in our homes for companionship. Marcus pulled up an image of a furry quadruped with a long snout full of sharp teeth. Dogs, descended from wolves, which are pack-hunting apex predators. We domesticated them thousands of years ago. Now they are humanity's best friends. You domesticated apex predators and invite them into your living spaces, Prella stated. Around your offspring. Well, yeah, they are great with kids. Jennifer showed an image of a small human child hugging a massive dog that outweighed it by a considerable margin. This is a Saint Bernard. They are rescue dogs. Sweetest animals ever. We also have cats, Marcus added. Smaller predators also descended from wild hunters. Here, this is my cat, Muffin. He showed them a photo of a small feline with enormous eyes and retractable claws clearly visible. You named an obligate carnivore, Muffin, Torvik said. She is very fluffy. Some people keep reptiles as pets too. Snakes, lizards, even spiders. There is a whole community of people who keep tarantulas and think they are adorable. Everything on your planet either wants to kill you or is capable of killing you, and you have responded by making friends with as many of them as possible. Velcris summarized. Exactly, Marcus beamed, completely missing the existential horror in Velcris's tone. Break, Velcris interrupted. We need a break. A significant break. But we have not even covered marine life yet. Jennifer protested. The ocean has the blue whale, largest animal ever known to exist, and the colossal squid with eyes the size of dinner plates. Break, Prella whispered. Please. In the name of all that is rational in the universe, break. Marcus and Jennifer exchanged glances, then shrugged. Sure thing. We will grab some lunch while you guys process. Velcris watched them leave and felt something in his cognitive processes fundamentally shift. Earth was not just a death world. It was a nightmare specifically designed to test the limits of biological resilience, and he had volunteered to visit it. After what Marcus and Jennifer had called lunch, which involved food items that Velcris's scanner had flagged as containing at least 4 different allergens and 1 mild neurotoxin, the assessment team reconvened in the observation theater. Torvik had spent the entire break running structural integrity checks on himself. Prilla had not unclenched her optical membrane. Velcris had seriously considered claiming a diplomatic emergency and returning to the council chambers. But no, he was a professional. He could handle learning about one admittedly alarming planet. Then Jennifer pulled up the gravitational data, and Valkyrie realized he had been adorably naive. So, she began with that characteristic human enthusiasm that Valkyrie now recognized as a warning sign. We have been getting some questions from the science teams about Earth's gravity. Apparently there was some confusion in the initial measurements. Confusion? Valkrie's translator carefully rendered the concern in his bioelectric field patterns. What kind of confusion? Marcus pulled up a datasheet. Okay. So, funny story. Turns out the original gravitational survey was calibrated for standard galactic baseline, which is 0.65 G, right? And everyone just assumed Earth would be in that normal range. And it is not? Torvik asked, though his tone suggested he already knew the answer would be unpleasant. Earth's surface gravity is 9.8 meters per second squared, Jennifer announced, which translates to 1 full G, or about 1.5 times the galactic standard. The observation theater went very, very quiet. 1.5 times, Trella finally said. You are telling me that every single moment of every single day humans are experiencing 50% more gravitational force than the average spacefaring species? Yep. Marcus nodded happily. We did not even realize it was unusual until we started meeting other species. The Planetary Assessment Committee knew. Valkrie's voice climbed several frequency bands. That information was in the classification report. Jennifer tilted her head. I mean, it does not feel extreme to us. It is just normal gravity, because you evolved in it. Torvik's voice had taken on a slightly unhinged quality. Your entire physiology is built to withstand constant high-gravity stress. Your bones, your muscles, your cardiovascular systems, all of it. Well, yeah, Marcus shrugged. I guess that is why we are built pretty sturdy. Oh hey, you want to see a demonstration? No, all three visitors said simultaneously. Cool, I will show you anyway. Marcus walked over to a storage container and pulled out what looked like a small metal cube. This is a standard cargo weight, 20 kilograms. Watch this. He lifted it with one hand, barely straining, and tossed it casually to Jennifer, who caught it just as easily. Valkyrie ran the calculations. 20 kilograms in 1.5 G meant an actual force of nearly 300 newtons. The humans were throwing around forces that would crush his gelatinous structure, one-handed, while talking, as if it required no thought whatsoever. On most civilized worlds, that weight would require lifting equipment. Prella's voice shook. For multiple individuals, you just threw it. I mean, it is only 20 kilos. Jennifer set the weight down with a gentle thunk that made the deck plating vibrate. Most humans can lift at least their own body weight with some training. Athletes can lift way more. Powerlifters can deadlift over 500 kilograms. 500. Torvik repeated. 500 kilograms. In high gravity. That is over 7,000 newtons of force. Yeah, the human body is pretty amazing. Marcus flexed his arm, and Valkyrie could see the muscular structure moving beneath the skin. Constant gravity means constant resistance training. Every step we take, every movement we make, we are working against Earth's pull. Your entire planet is a strength conditioning facility, Valkyrie said faintly, and you have no choice but to participate, every moment of your existence. Never thought about it that way, but sure. Jennifer laughed. Oh, this is great, watch this. She pulled out what appeared to be a communication device. Hey, let me call my sister. You guys can meet an actual human child. Before Valkyrie could protest, a small face appeared on the screen. The child could not have been more than 4 or 5 Earth years old. Hi, Aunt Jenny. The child waved enthusiastically. Hi, Tommy. Hey, can you do me a favor? Can you pick up one of your toy boxes and show my friends? Okay, the camera view shifted wildly, then focused on a large plastic container filled with small vehicles and figurines. The child grabbed the container with both arms and lifted it, staggering slightly but maintaining his grip. That is great, buddy. How heavy is that box? Mommy says it is 10 kilos, the child announced proudly. I am super strong. The transmission ended, and Valkyrie stared at the blank screen in dawning horror. A child, he said slowly. A juvenile, not yet fully developed, lifted 10 kilograms, in high gravity. That is over 140 newtons. Tommy is pretty strong for his age, Jennifer said proudly. When I was that age, I could barely maintain my own structural cohesion, Valkyrie admitted. Grundy and younglings stay in low-gravity maturation chambers until their crystalline structure stabilizes, Torvik added. The idea of a child engaging in high-gravity resistance activities is developmental madness. But it works for us, Marcus said. Human children are climbing, running, jumping from the moment they can walk. By the time we are adults, we are basically fine-tuned to operate in high gravity. Velcris pulled up his own notes, recalculating everything. Humans did not just live on a high-gravity world, they had evolved to thrive in it, which meant that in standard galactic gravity humans were operating at nearly twice their normal capacity. No wonder they seemed so strong. So, this is probably a good time to mention the bone density thing, Marcus said casually. The what thing? Torvik asked. Human bones are significantly denser than most species. Jennifer pulled up a comparative scan. We need that density to support our body weight in high gravity. Velcris felt his cohesion wobble. They had not even gotten to the atmospheric composition yet, or human recreational activities. You know what? He said carefully. I think we need another break, but we have not shown you the atmospheric data yet. Jennifer protested. Break, Velcris stated firmly. Now, immediately. The break had not helped. Velcris had spent 2 full hours running probability calculations, and every single one concluded that visiting Earth's surface would result in catastrophic injury, molecular dissolution, or existential trauma, possibly all three simultaneously. And yet here he was, back in the observation theater, because apparently his survival instincts had gone on vacation. Marcus and Jennifer were waiting with what they described as refreshments, which turned out to be small bread rounds covered in red plant matter, melted dairy proteins, and various processed meats. The smell was actually pleasant, which Velcris found deeply suspicious. Okay. Jennifer clapped her hands and Velcris flinched. So, we have covered geography, wildlife, and gravity. Next up, let's talk about what you are actually going to be breathing when you visit. Breathing. Prella's optical membrane cracked open slightly. The atmospheric composition. I have been dreading this part. Dreading? Why? Marcus looked genuinely puzzled. Our atmosphere is great. Your planet is classified as a Class 12 Deathworld, Torvik said slowly. Every single characteristic we have examined has been catastrophically hostile to life. Why would the atmosphere be any different? I mean, it is just air. Jennifer pulled up a composition chart. 78% nitrogen, 21% oxygen, less than 1% argon, and trace amounts of carbon dioxide and other gases. Pretty standard stuff. 21%, Velcris repeated, his translator adding several layers of horror to the frequency. 21% oxygen. Yeah, good for breathing. Marcus took a deep breath and exhaled, as if demonstrating how simple it was. Good for breathing? Prella's voice shot up several octaves. 21% oxygen concentration is a fire hazard. That is not an atmosphere, that is a combustion accelerant. I mean, stuff does burn pretty easily, Jennifer admitted, but we have fire departments and sprinkler systems. You need specialized emergency response teams specifically for the spontaneous combustion events that your atmosphere enables. Torvik's crack had started glowing slightly. This is not a safety feature. This is a design flaw. Okay, look, Marcus pulled up a historical chart. So, fun fact, Earth's oxygen levels have not always been this high. During the Carboniferous period, like 300 million years ago, oxygen levels were around 35%. 35%? All three visitors shouted in unison. Yeah, that is why insects got so huge back then. Dragonflies with wingspans of over 60 centimeters. Millipedes nearly 3 meters long. Jennifer said this like it was fascinating trivia and not a description of an actual nightmare dimension. Your planet once had even more combustible atmosphere than it currently does, Velcris said faintly, and the primary result was that small creatures became enormous. But it went back down, Marcus said encouragingly. See? 21% is actually pretty reasonable by Earth standards. By Earth standards, Prella repeated, the galactic standard for safe oxygen levels is between 8 and 12%. You are operating at nearly double the maximum safe concentration. Huh? Jennifer tilted her head. I guess that explains why the Metharian delegation had to wear atmospheric filters. They said our air felt, what was the word, spicy. Spicy, Torvik said hollowly. They described oxygen toxicity as spicy. To be fair, oxygen is really reactive. Marcus pulled up a molecular diagram. It is constantly trying to bond with other elements. That is why we rust, why organic matter decays, why fires burn. Oxygen is kind of aggressive, chemically speaking. You are describing corrosion, Velcris pointed out. Your atmosphere is slowly corroding everything it touches, including your own bodies. Well, yeah, that is why we age. Jennifer said brightly. Oxidative stress, free radicals, cellular damage over time. But we have antioxidants. Our bodies are constantly repairing the damage. Your bodies are in a perpetual state of atmospheric warfare, Prella stated. The air you breathe is simultaneously keeping you alive and slowly destroying you at the cellular level. I mean, when you put it like that, it sounds bad, Marcus admitted. But we live like 70 to 80 years on average. Some people even hit 100. 70 to 80 cycles? Torvik's glow intensified. In an atmosphere that is actively corroding you? Grundians live for 300 cycles and our atmospheric oxygen content is 9%. Yeah. But do you get to experience the joy of a good campfire? Jennifer asked. Or birthday candles? Or fireworks? Those are all oxygen-dependent combustion events, and they are beautiful. You celebrate milestones by igniting controlled explosions, Velcris said. Because your atmosphere supports rapid oxidation for aesthetic purposes. Exactly, Marcus grinned. Ooh, speaking of which, you should see our 4th of July celebrations. Fireworks displays that last for hours. Your species has designated holidays specifically for mass combustion events. Prella's optical membrane had fully contracted again. This is not a civilization, this is a sustained chemical reaction that achieved sentience. I like that. Jennifer laughed. That is pretty accurate, actually. Our entire metabolism is based on oxidation. We consume nutrients, combine them with oxygen, and release energy, cellular respiration. Every breath we take is feeding a controlled burn inside our bodies. You are on fire, Torvik stated. Internally. At the cellular level. Constantly. Technically, yes. Marcus nodded enthusiastically. Our core body temperature is around 37 degrees Celsius. We are maintaining that through continuous metabolic processes. We are basically biological furnaces. Velcris ran the numbers. 37 degrees. That was above the comfort threshold for most species. Humans were generating additional heat through internal combustion processes fueled by an atmosphere that would qualify as a safety hazard on any reasonable planet. Let me see if I understand, he said carefully. You breathe an atmosphere with dangerously high oxygen concentration. This oxygen fuels cellular processes that generate heat and energy through controlled oxidation. The same oxidation process ages you and causes cellular damage, and you consider this normal. I mean, it works for us. Jennifer shrugged. Plus, high oxygen content means we can sustain pretty intense physical activity. Ever wonder why humans have such good endurance? Efficient oxygen delivery. We can run for hours if we train for it. Hours, Prella whispered. You can maintain high-intensity physical activity for hours, in high gravity, while breathing corrosive atmosphere. Marathon runners do it all the time. Marcus pulled up footage of hundreds of humans running together through city streets. 42 kilometers. Some people finish in under 2 hours. They are smiling, Torvik observed. They are engaging in extreme endurance activity that would hospitalize most species, and they are smiling. It is fun, Jennifer said. Oh, and some people do ultramarathons. Those are like 100 kilometers or more. Your species hunted by pursuing prey until it died of fatigue, Prella said. You are pursuit predators, who evolved in high gravity, breathing fire. I would not call it fire, Jennifer said thoughtfully. More like controlled oxidation. Velcris felt his molecular structure destabilizing again. Your entire planet is optimized for creating biological endurance machines. The gravity builds strength. The atmosphere supports sustained activity. Earth is not a planet. It is a species-wide training facility. Never thought about it like that, but, yeah. Marcus seemed genuinely pleased. It is not cool. It is terrifying. Prella's voice had gone shrill. You are all walking weapon systems. The observation theater's hollow display flickered to life, and Velcris immediately knew he had made a terrible mistake. The image showed what appeared to be a large rectangular area covered in frozen water, surrounded by transparent barriers, with humans wearing heavy protective gear skating across the ice at speeds that seemed physically inadvisable. Hockey, Marcus announced with the kind of enthusiasm usually reserved for discovering new forms of energy. One of humanity's greatest sports, originally from Canada but played worldwide now. Let me show you some highlights from last season's championship. Why are they wearing armor? Torvik asked, his voice carrying a note of dread. If this is recreation, why do they need protective equipment? Oh, that is just standard gear. Jennifer pulled up a diagram. Helmet, shoulder pads, elbow pads, gloves, shin guards, skates with metal blades, plus they carry sticks made of composite materials. You know, for hitting the puck. Hitting. Prella's optical membrane focused on the stick in question. That is a weapon. You have armed your recreational participants with weapons. It is not a weapon. It is sporting equipment. Marcus laughed. Though I guess it can be used for fighting, but that is technically against the rules. Mostly? All three visitors shouted. Okay. So, full disclosure, Jennifer said. Fighting does happen in hockey. It is part of the game culture. Players drop their gloves and throw hands, but there are penalties. 5 minutes in the penalty box. You penalize violence by temporarily removing the participants, Velcris said slowly. Not by ending the game. Not by disqualifying them. By giving them a short break. Well, yeah, hockey is a physical sport. Marcus started the highlight reel, and Velcris immediately regretted every decision that had led to this moment. The footage showed humans moving at what his scanner registered as 30 to 40 kilometers per hour on metal blades attached to their feet, across a surface with minimal friction, while trying to hit a small rubber disc with their sticks, and also, apparently, each other. See, that is a good check, Jennifer pointed, as one human slammed another human into the transparent barrier with enough force to make an audible impact. Clean hit, no penalty. That human just collided with another human at high velocity, Torvik stated, and then bounced off the wall, and got up, and continued playing. That is the point. Body checking is a fundamental part of hockey. You use your body to separate the opponent from the puck. Strategic violence, Prella whispered. You have codified violence into recreational strategy. The footage continued, showing increasingly alarming examples of what humans apparently considered good plays. Humans crashing into each other. Humans sliding across the ice after collisions. Humans getting hit in the face with the rubber disc, which Marcus cheerfully explained was frozen solid and traveling at speeds up to 170 kilometers per hour. 170 kilometers per hour? Velcris's coherence was definitely failing now. That is faster than most ground vehicles, and it hit him in the face. Yeah, that is why they wear face shields now, Jennifer said. Used to be players would lose teeth all the time. Some of the old-timers played without helmets even. I cannot imagine voluntarily participating in an activity where high-velocity frozen projectiles are aimed at one's face, Torvik said. That is combat training. I mean, it does build reflexes, Marcus admitted. Ooh, here comes a good part. Watch this fight. Two humans on the screen dropped their sticks and gloves and proceeded to punch each other repeatedly while skating on ice. The crowd in the background was cheering loudly. They are enjoying this, Prella observed. The spectators are expressing positive emotional responses to watching their fellow humans engage in physical combat on a frictionless surface. It is exciting. The energy, the rivalry. Hockey fights are a tradition. Your recreational culture includes ritualized combat, Velcris stated, with witnesses who pay money to watch. Well, when you say it like that, it sounds weird, Marcus said. But yeah, tickets can get pretty expensive, especially playoff season. The highlight reel continued, and somehow each clip was worse than the last. Humans colliding with such force that the protective barriers shook. Humans falling and sliding into the barriers at high speed. Humans getting hit with sticks with pucks with other humans, and in every single case they got back up and kept playing. That one broke his nose. Jennifer pointed at a player with blood clearly visible on his face, but he finished his shift before going to the locker room. Tough guy. He continued playing with a fractured facial bone, Torvik said. Bleeding. And this is admirable behavior. Shows dedication. Hockey players are known for playing through injuries. Broken fingers, cracked ribs, concussions. Though we are getting better about concussion protocols now. Concussions, Prella's voice had gone very quiet. Brain injuries. Your recreational activity causes brain injuries with sufficient frequency that you developed medical protocols specifically for managing them. Player safety is important. That is why the rules keep evolving. More dangerous than this? Velcris gestured at the screen, where a human had just been checked so hard that he flipped completely over. How is that player not experiencing catastrophic spinal damage? Protective equipment. Plus, you know, humans are pretty durable. Oh, speaking of other sports, Marcus pulled up new images. You guys should see rugby. It is like hockey but on grass and without the ice. The new footage showed humans in short-sleeved shirts running at each other and deliberately colliding at full speed, then fighting over an oval ball while falling into massive piles of human bodies. They are not wearing armor, Torvik observed. These humans are engaging in similar collision-based activities with no protection whatsoever. Well, they have mouthguards. Gotta protect those teeth. Just the teeth, Velcris said faintly. Everything else is fair game for injury. Rugby players are hardcore. Jennifer pulled up injury statistics. Broken bones, torn ligaments, concussions, dislocations. There is this famous story about a player who finished a match with a ruptured spleen. A ruptured internal organ, Prella stated. He continued playing with a ruptured internal organ. Yeah, thought it was just a bruise. That is dedication. That is not dedication, that is evidence of catastrophically high pain tolerance. Torvik's glow had become a steady beacon of distress. Oh, you want to hear about pain tolerance? Jennifer's eyes lit up. Let me tell you about UFC. Mixed martial arts. Humans fighting humans in a cage using multiple combat disciplines. A cage, Velcris repeated. You lock humans in an enclosed space and have them fight each other. For sport. With rules. Very organized. The footage showed exactly what it sounded like. Humans in a fenced enclosure, punching, kicking, grappling, and generally doing their best to incapacitate each other while referees watched and crowds cheered. This is blood sport, Torvik stated. You have dressed up gladiatorial combat as entertainment. I mean, both fighters agreed to it. They trained for years. One of them is unconscious, Velcris pointed at the screen. That human has been rendered non-functional by another human's fist. And the crowd is celebrating. That was a great knockout, perfect technique. I cannot do this anymore, Prella announced. I cannot watch any more footage of humans deliberately harming each other for entertainment. Are all human sports based on collision and combat? Torvik asked weakly. Well, no. We have tennis, golf, swimming. Basketball players get pretty physical too, Marcus interjected. Lots of contact. Guys getting elbowed in the face. Please stop, Jennifer told him. You deliberately subject yourselves to extreme physical stress for entertainment. Velcris's voice had climbed several frequency bands. You celebrate injuries. You consider all of this normal. Humans like competition. We like pushing our limits. Your nature is terrifying, Prilla said. You do not have leisure activities. You have survival drills that you pretend are fun. They are fun though. I play hockey twice a week. You voluntarily engage in high-velocity collision activities twice per week, Torvik said. This is considered a hobby. Speaking of acceptable risk, Jennifer said. You guys want to grab dinner? Velcris looked at his team. They had not even visited the planet's surface yet, and he was already experiencing cascading system failures. And now the humans wanted to feed them. The human concept of dinner turned out to be less of a meal and more of a carefully orchestrated biological assault. Jennifer led them to what she called the executive dining hall, which Velcris noted had fire suppression systems prominently displayed on every wall. That should have been his first warning sign. The second was the smell, a complex assault of aromatic compounds that made his olfactory sensors simultaneously intrigued and terrified. We have prepared a traditional Earth meal, Marcus announced, gesturing to a long table covered in various dishes that seemed to emit their own atmospheric conditions. Steam rose from several containers. One appeared to be bubbling active. Another was making a sizzling sound that Velcris's threat assessment systems flagged as possible active chemical reaction. This is amazing. Jennifer pointed to each dish with pride. We have got pizza, sushi, kimchi, aged cheese, sourdough bread, yogurt, and some nice spicy curry. A real international selection. Half of those words mean nothing to me, Prella said weakly. And the other half sound vaguely threatening. Let us start with something simple. Marcus picked up a triangular slice of the food item he had called pizza. This is a classic. Bread, tomato sauce, cheese, pepperoni. Basic stuff. Velcris activated his scanner and immediately wished he had not. The cheese is produced by bacterial fermentation. The meat is preserved with nitrates and salt. The bread contains active yeast cultures. And is that fungus on top? Mushrooms, yeah. Jennifer said happily. They add a nice earthy flavor. You are eating decomposers, Torvik stated. Organisms that break down dead organic matter. You put them on your food. Intentionally. I mean, mushrooms are delicious. Marcus took a large bite of his pizza slice, demonstrating either remarkable courage or complete lack of survival instinct. "Oh, you guys should try the sushi. It is super fresh." He gestured to a platter of what appeared to be raw aquatic life forms arranged on compressed grain. Velcris's scanner went into overdrive, flagging potential parasites, bacterial contamination risks, and the presence of wasabi, which it classified as defensive chemical compound. Consumption not recommended. "That is uncooked." Prella's optical membrane had contracted to its minimum aperture. "You are eating uncooked animal tissue. From the ocean. The same ocean with all those venomous creatures. Raw fish is perfectly safe if it is prepared correctly," Jennifer said. "Plus the wasabi has antimicrobial properties. It is like built-in food safety. You consume antimicrobial compounds as a condiment," Velcris said faintly, "because your food requires antimicrobial treatment to be safe." "Never thought about it that way, but sure." Marcus moved to the next dish. "Oh, this is kimchi. Fermented vegetables from Korea. It is spicy, tangy, absolutely delicious." "Fermented," Torvik repeated. "That means controlled decay." "You are eating controlled decay." "All fermented foods are controlled decay," Jennifer said cheerfully. "Yogurt, cheese, sauerkraut, pickles, soy sauce, beer, wine. Fermentation is one of humanity's oldest food preservation techniques." "Preservation," Prella whispered. "You developed methods to control food decomposition and then you eat the decomposed food." "It is not decomposed, it is cultured," Marcus corrected. "There is a difference. The bacteria and yeasts break down the ingredients in specific ways that make them tastier and sometimes more nutritious. You cultivate bacterial colonies in your food supply," Velcris stated. "On purpose. For flavor." "Exactly. Oh, speaking of cultures, check out this cheese." Jennifer held up a wedge of something that Velcris's scanner identified as having over 40 different bacterial and fungal species actively growing in it. "This is a nice aged cheddar. Been fermenting for like 2 years. 2 years, Torvik said. "You let it sit for 2 years, accumulating microorganisms, and now you are going to eat it. It is so good." Marcus cut a piece and consumed it with obvious pleasure. "The aging process breaks down the proteins and fats, creates all these complex flavors. Aged cheese is a delicacy." "Your delicacies are defined by how long they have been decomposing," Prella observed. "Only the good ones," Jennifer laughed. "Oh, you have to try the curry. It is mild, I promise." Velcris had learned that when humans said mild, they meant less lethal than our standard options. The curry in question was bright red, which in nature usually indicated either toxicity or a warning to predators. Possibly both. "What makes it red?" he asked cautiously. "Chili peppers," Marcus said enthusiastically. "They contain capsaicin, which triggers the pain receptors in your mouth. Makes it feel hot and spicy." "Pain receptors," Torvik said slowly. "You have added a compound that specifically activates pain responses to your food. And you describe this as pleasurable." "It is an acquired taste," Jennifer admitted. "But humans love spicy food. We have whole cuisines built around it. Thai, Indian, Mexican, Sichuan. The endorphin rush from the pain is actually kind of addictive." "You are pain junkies," Prella stated. "You consume chemicals that cause pain because the resulting neurological response is enjoyable." "I would not say junkies," Marcus said. "More like enthusiasts." "Oh, and we brought drinks." Jennifer produced several bottles. "Water, obviously, and we have wine, beer, and sake. All alcoholic beverages fermented from different sources." Velcris's scanner analyzed the liquids and flagged them all as neurotoxins. "These are poisons. You have brought us poisons to drink." "Well, alcohol is technically a toxin, yeah," Marcus admitted. "But in moderate amounts it is fine. Humans have been drinking alcohol for thousands of years. It is a social thing. Relaxing. You consume neurotoxins socially," Torvik said, "to deliberately impair your cognitive functions. For relaxation." "When you say it like that, it sounds bad," Jennifer said. "But it is fun. Celebrations, dinner parties, weddings. Alcohol is part of human culture." "Your culture is built on controlled poisoning," Prella said. "I mean, kind of," Marcus shrugged. "Oh, you guys want to see something cool? Watch this." He picked up a bottle of clear liquid, a lime and salt. "This is how you do tequila shots. You lick the salt, drink the tequila, bite the lime. It is a whole experience," he demonstrated. And Valkyris watched in horror as the human voluntarily consumed what his scanner registered as 40% ethanol by volume, preceded by sodium chloride and followed by citric acid. You are attacking your own digestive system from 3 different angles simultaneously, Valkyris observed. And this is considered entertainment. It is a party trick, Jennifer said. Come on, you guys should eat something. We prepared all this food. Valkyris looked at the table. Every single item was either fermented, aged, raw, spicy, toxic, or some combination thereof. The humans had prepared what they considered a friendly meal, and it was essentially a buffet of biological warfare agents. I think, he said carefully, we will stick to our specialized nutrition supplements. But thank you, truly. This has been very educational. You sure? Marcus looked genuinely disappointed. The pizza is really good. We are sure, all 3 visitors said in unison. As the humans began eating their controlled decay and fermented toxins with obvious enjoyment, Valkyris made a mental note to add culinary practices to the list of reasons why Earth qualified as a Class 12 Deathworld. The humans did not just survive their hostile planet, they ate it, raw, and called it delicious. Dr. Riaz had finally finished her enthusiastic presentation on human regenerative capabilities, and Valkyris found himself back in the observation theater with Marcus and Jennifer, trying to process everything he had learned. His assessment team looked like they had been through a war. Torvik's crack now resembled a complex roadmap. Prella had not fully opened her optical membrane in over an hour, and Valkyris could feel his molecular bonds threatening to give up entirely. So, Marcus said cheerfully, apparently oblivious to their trauma. What do you think? Ready to visit Earth's surface? No. All 3 visitors said simultaneously. Come on. We have shown you all the basics. Geography, wildlife, gravity, atmosphere, food, medicine. You know what to expect now. Jennifer said encouragingly. That is precisely the problem, Valkyris said quietly. We know exactly what to expect. And it is terrifying. Terrifying? Marcus looked genuinely confused. But we are perfectly safe. Billions of humans live on Earth without any problems. That is because you are humans. Torvik's voice had taken on a desperate edge. You evolved there. You are built for it. Your bones are dense enough to withstand high gravity. Your lungs process corrosive oxygen. Your bodies repair themselves from damage. You consume toxins recreationally. You play sports that would kill most species. You are living weapons. I would not say weapons, Jennifer protested weakly. What would you call a species that can outlast almost any predator in a chase, survive injuries that would be fatal to others, adapt to extreme environmental conditions, and get stronger from physical trauma? Prella asked. You are pursuit predators with regenerative capabilities and adaptive immune systems, living on a planet that constantly tries to kill you, and you respond by making friends with the things trying to kill you and eating them. Okay, when you list it all out like that, it does sound kind of intense, Marcus admitted. Intense? Valkyris's voice climbed several frequency bands. Your planet has temperatures that range over 140 degrees, gravity 50% higher than galactic standard, oxygen levels that create constant fire hazards, tectonic activity that makes the ground move without warning, weather systems classified as natural disasters, predators on every continent, venomous everything, and humans looked at all of this and said, yeah, this is fine. Let us build a civilization here. I mean, it is home, Jennifer said simply. We do not know anything else. This is just normal for us. That is the most terrifying part, Valkyris said quietly. You do not even realize how extreme it all is. You genuinely think this is normal. You call it home. You smile about it. Marcus and Jennifer exchanged glances. Then Marcus shrugged. I guess we are just adaptable. Humans are good at making the best of situations. We complain a lot. Sure, but we keep going. It is kind of our thing. Complaining and persistence, Torvik said hollowly. Your species' traits are complaining and refusing to die. Pretty much, Jennifer laughed. Oh, and spite. Never underestimate human spite. Some of humanity's greatest achievements came from someone saying, I bet you cannot do that, and a human replying, watch me. Your technological advancement is driven by spite, Prella stated. Not entirely. Also curiosity, competition, boredom, and occasionally trying to impress someone. Marcus said, we landed on our own moon partly because 2 countries were competing. We climbed the tallest mountain because it was there. We went to the deepest part of the ocean just to see what was down there. Humans are explorers. We see a challenge and we have to try it. You see a potentially lethal challenge and your response is enthusiasm, Valkyrie said. Well, yeah. How else are you supposed to respond to challenges? Jennifer asked genuinely. Caution, risk assessment, survival instinct. Torvik listed. Normal species evaluate danger and avoid it. That sounds boring, Marcus said. Boring. All three visitors shouted. Look, Jennifer said gently. I get that Earth seems extreme to you. But to us it is just home. We love our planet. The diversity, the beauty, the challenges. Yeah, it is dangerous sometimes, but that is what makes it exciting. We learn, we adapt, we overcome. That is what humans do. Valkyrie stared at the two humans, who were smiling at him with genuine warmth and friendliness, completely unaware that they were describing a nightmare existence. They were not trying to be intimidating. They were not boasting about their capabilities. They were just being honest about their lives. And that was somehow more terrifying than anything else he had learned. I understand now, he said quietly. I understand why the council was so alarmed. Yeah, Marcus asked hopefully. Yes, because you are the friendliest, most dangerous species in the galaxy and you have absolutely no idea. 3 cycles later, Valkyrie stood before the Galactic Council once more, his assessment team flanking him. Torvik had required extensive crystalline restructuring. Prella's optical membrane still twitched occasionally, and Valkyrie himself had needed 2 full cycles just to restore his molecular cohesion to acceptable levels. Esteemed members, he began, his voice steady despite the lingering trauma. I have completed the assessment of Earth and its human inhabitants. My findings are as follows. The chamber fell silent. Every species representative leaned forward. The classification of Earth as a Class 12 Deathworld is accurate. However, I must note that this classification may actually be insufficient to convey the true nature of the planet and its dominant species. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. Humans are pursuit predators who evolved in high gravity, breathing corrosive atmosphere, surrounded by extreme temperature variations, constant geological instability, and an overabundance of species specifically designed to kill them. Their response to this environment was not mere survival, it was dominance. Valkyrie pulled up his compiled data, watching as the council members reviewed the information with growing horror. They possess regenerative capabilities, adaptive immune systems, and pain tolerance levels that border on the absurd. They consume fermented foods, aged proteins, raw animal tissue, and literal toxins for recreation. They engage in sports that would be classified as combat training by any reasonable standard. They keep apex predators as companions. They chase atmospheric disasters for entertainment, and they consider all of this completely normal. The chamber was utterly silent now. My recommendation is as follows. Establish peaceful diplomatic relations with humanity immediately. Offer them trade agreements, cultural exchanges, whatever they want, but under absolutely no circumstances should any species in this council ever, and I cannot stress this enough, ever attempt to invade Earth or threaten humanity. Why? High Assessor Quilmara asked quietly. Because, Valkyrie said, they are not just survivors of a death world, they are the apex species of a death world. They are built to outlast, outthink, and outlive threats that would exterminate most civilized species. They heal from damage. They adapt to toxins. They thrive in conditions that would kill us, and most terrifying of all, they do not even realize how dangerous they are. He paused, letting that sink in. Humans think they are normal. They think their planet is a nice place to live. They smile when they talk about it. They call it home with genuine affection. This is not a species that conquered their environment through technology or numbers. This is a species that evolved to match their environment's hostility step for step, and then decided to make friends with it. Torvik stepped forward. I witnessed a human child lift weights that would require mechanical assistance for most adults of other species. Human children play games that involve deliberate collision and consider minor injuries part of the fun. They are training their young for survival from birth and they call it childhood. I observed humans consuming chemical compounds that trigger pain receptors for enjoyment. Prella added, her optical membrane contracting at the memory. They have designated entire culinary traditions around controlled poisoning. They ferment their food intentionally and consider the results delicacies. Humans are kind, Valkyrie continued. They are friendly, enthusiastic, and genuinely excited to meet other species. They offered us hospitality that nearly killed us 3 times, and they were apologetic about it. They do not understand why we find their planet terrifying because to them, it is just home. This makes them perhaps the most dangerous species we have ever encountered, because they combine extreme capability with complete lack of awareness of how extreme they are. He pulled up the final slide of his presentation, an image of Earth, that beautiful blue and green marble, swirling with white storms. That planet makes soldiers out of its children, athletes out of its adults, and survivors out of everyone. The humans who evolved there are the result of millions of years of the universe asking, how much can a species endure, and humanity answering, more, always more. Valkyrie looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes, optical sensors and various sensory organs of every species present. We wanted to know if Earth qualified as a death world. The answer is yes. But the real question we should have asked is what kind of species thrives on a death world? And the answer is, the kind you want as allies, never as enemies. So your recommendation is peaceful contact only? Kumara confirmed. Peaceful contact only, Valkyrie agreed. Enthusiastic friendship. Generous trade terms. Whatever it takes to keep them happy. Because I have seen what their planet does to them, and I have no desire to see what they can do when actually threatened. The council chamber erupted in discussion, but Valkyrie could see the consensus forming. No one wanted to test humanity's limits. No one wanted to find out what a species bred on a Class 12 death world could do when pushed. One final note, Valkyrie added, cutting through the noise. The humans have invited us to visit their planet's surface for a cultural festival. Something called the Olympics. It involves humans from all over their world competing in various physical challenges. Will you be attending? Someone asked. Valkyrie thought about it. He thought about the hockey footage, the volcano cities, the casual consumption of neurotoxins, the children lifting impossible weights. Absolutely not, he said firmly. I value my molecular cohesion far too much, but I will be sending them a very nice gift basket and a polite decline. Because that is what you do with friendly Deathworlders. You stay on their good side. The council voted unanimously to accept his recommendations. As Valkyrie left the chamber, he took one last look at the image of Earth on the display. That beautiful, terrible, impossible planet, where humans smiled and called it home. He hoped the rest of the galaxy was ready for humanity. Because humanity was definitely ready for the galaxy. They just did not know how ready they were. And that, Valkyrie reflected, was probably for the best.